Hello and welcome to Edison TV. Today I'm joined by Martin Balaam, who is founder and chief exec at Pimberly. Pimberly is a UK SaaS business focused on product information management and digital asset management software, which it sells globally. Martin, many thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me on.
And can you start by introducing Pimberly and in particular what you actually do for your customers?
Yeah, so as you say, we're a B2B SaaS business based out of Manchester, founded in Manchester, but expanded into the US. We manage product information for pretty much anybody that sells physical products, whether to businesses or to consumers. And essentially the problem we're solving is that to get all the product information, whether that be structured or unstructured, so images, videos, manuals, etc., usually takes a lot of effort. It's in a lot of different silos. There's potentially a lot of regulation around it as well. And also when you're selling to multi-geos with different languages, different sectors, etc., it's a huge sort of manual shift. And so what we do is become this single source of truth and automate a lot of that product data and management and pushing it out to where it needs to be. So fundamentally allowing customers to massively speed up the time to market and make it super efficient to expand into new geographies and new sectors.
So who are your typical customers, and why do they deploy Pimberly software? And once they're on the platform, why do they remain on the platform throughout a longer journey?
Yeah, so our typical customers would fit into two key buckets. There'd be those B2B customers that have highly complex products, usually with lots of complex attribution and complex conditionality that link the two. So imagine sort of parts and so automotive parts and automotive. You've also got your standard sort of B2B e-commerce customers that usually have thousands, if not up to millions of products that they're selling. They've got high volumes of churn each year from season to season. In terms of how we sell to customers, usually we're looking at those customers that are expanding rapidly or have a digital transformation as a core strategy. And usually what we find is that they will be struggling with product data, and then it's to be able to talk to them about the journey. Ultimately, how are they wanting to access their end user and end customers, and more often than not, everybody's talking about that's in some form of digitized way, and that then would cascade into an understanding as to how efficient and how well they could actually execute on their new strategy if they had a product like a PIM solution.
And you've got a nice recurring revenue profile. What makes your customers, what makes the product sticky? Why do they stick with you on the platform?
Yeah, so we tend to be very embedded in their existing processes and systems. So we'll be used by multiple departments, and usually we'll be interfacing with their core downstream systems like their ERP, like their product lifecycle management systems, and also interfacing with their upstream sales systems. Everybody thinks of websites, but it could be portals, it could be all sorts of different things. And we're basically connecting all those dots, creating this central source of truth, and optimizing that product data for wherever that needs to be going, and making that journey super easy and super seamless for them.
And you've recently introduced, I guess, a standalone digital asset management product. Can you explain firstly the difference between the product information management and the digital asset management software, and then discuss the opportunity that the new product opens up for you?
Yeah, so when you talk about product information, you can't just talk about structured data, like dimensions, weight, descriptions, etc. It has to include all the unstructured data like images, videos, documentation, etc., certification. And within Pimberly, we've always had a digital asset management capability from the outset. However, we were never focused on the digital departments that ultimately had the requirement to create those digital assets. And so what we've found is that a lot of our customers, most of our customers already will have a standalone digital asset management platform, as well as adopting a PIM and like Pimberly with a DAM. And so we've been working with our customers to expand the functionality of our DAM so that we can move into their digital department and allow them to basically remove that additional sort of layer of complexity by having a standalone DAM.
Right. And the US is a significant opportunity for the business. You've invested into that opportunity. I mean, we often see this, it's a huge opportunity, but actually scaling is the challenge, right?
Yeah.
Can you discuss how you are addressing that, your US strategy, and also, what would success look like for you in the US?
Yeah, so I mean, the US is probably 7 to 10 times the TAM of the UK. So I think it wouldn't be a surprise for at some point a software company who's got a product that's globally applicable to want to go to the US. We're already at a 25% sort of customer base now in US. So over the last sort of 3 years, we've gone from 0 to 25%. And the way that we've been working it is focusing on those really top level sort of brands, predominantly in B2B, and knocking off some of those so that we can then access the sort of the network effect to give us a more efficient way of expanding, because putting feet on the ground in the US is not a cheap thing. But today, I'm pretty happy with the progress that we've made, and I'm very excited about the fact that we've got a huge market to go out there, as well as obviously the UK.
Right, and we can't escape the AI theme. It's hugely pertinent to every software business. AI is obviously changing the way consumers buy goods and services. Can you discuss how you are helping your clients with that process, and also how you're implementing AI within your own product suite?
Yeah, so I mean, Pimberly has had AI embedded within it probably for the last sort of 3 years. I guess in a way we're fortunate in that we are the source of truth for product data. So we have sort of first person data in there for the product. There's multi different facets for our customers in terms of how we're enabling them to accelerate their growth using AI. So one of the areas is obviously to removing human labor from the actual product enrichment and creation workflow, whether that be product descriptions, whether it be images, etc., but also making their product data LLM friendly, because increasingly, as people know, agentic AI, that it's going to be less so humans, especially in B2B, that are actually placing orders, and the LLMs need to have access to data in a structured way so that they know exactly this is the right product, is it the right part, have you got it, where is it, and how can I easily order it?
Interesting. So that's that access to data, that vertical domain expertise, and the ability to deploy that for your customers in scale, I guess.
Yeah, that's definitely how we see the future going, especially for Pimberly, is having some deep vertical sector domain expertise for product data, and be seen, like in the UK, we've really sort of focused on building materials, and becoming probably one of the major sources of product data for entire building materials in the UK, and we think that that's going to create a fantastic opportunity for us, for Pimberly and for our wider customers, and to replicate that in certain vertical sectors such as building materials, HVAC, etc.
And can we turn to your financial profile? You've been generating robust growth, 25%, I think, last year in ARR growth.
Yeah.
What's driving that? Is it new customer acquisition? Is it growing your footprint within existing customers, a combination of both?
Yeah, well, I think part of the fundamental bedrock is that we're sort of a line of business and embedded in the core business processes. So the first thing is that, you know, it becomes a very sticky product, you know. One of the things for us is being able to make sure that, you know, when we do grow our customer base, that customer base, you know, is not dissipating in terms of churn, etc. So we have very low churn, and then from an acquisition point of view, it's been laser focused on those sectors where we've got deep referenceability and expertise, so that it sort of elevates you above being a generic product, and that you can truly add value to that customer, not just at the solution, the sort of software solution level, but also in terms of, you know, from where they can get strategic advantage as well.
So you're a private business. From a financial and funding perspective, what are the next steps of the business?
Yeah, so you know, obviously we're looking to continue to grow. We see, you know, the financial markets as, you know, a great place to go looking for expansion capital. We're know that you know, we need to get our name out there, hence the, you know, conversations today, and we're looking and but also relatively early stage, you know, but we're looking and hoping that, you know, whenever the market conditions are right and we're a good fit for the markets, you know, that will be an attractive proposition.
It would be great to see a good quality growth SaaS business join the market. Martin, many thanks for joining me today.
Thank you very much.